I got into the National School of Drama when the country was getting into a turmoil.
Why do you think we crave security so much?
People don't always take decisions. Young people are an enigma. They're just wanting to become hippie. Initially, the artist was blissfully imitating God, meaning nature.
Why do you think parents are doing that?
You are allowing to do that because you think they'll become famous and you don't want them to do theater. Shame on us. Let's first realize that the actor is unique.
How does an actor find their own unique voice?
A good theater group, a good performance is a very good space for girls, for Dalits, for anybody. Awareness is such a beautiful word.
How strong a role mythology plays.
Every human being is actually managing this tense relationship between the Rama inside me and the Sita inside me. So the memory becomes a metaphor and a metaphor becomes a myth. Natya Shastra, like any classical text, has become completely vulgarized by people who want to look at it as a glorified dead thing. We are so overbearing and protective and we are destroying the kids by doing it. Purely as a scientific thing, I don't think we'll survive. All questions have to be tackled at the level of sense, not at the level of the brain. That's when I realized negotiation was necessary. Postmodern today is disgustingly creative. Taste of the performance is felt by the audience.
I think that people don't want to feel uncomfortable.
Creativity was created in order to make this very, very fundamental difference between truth and reality. It's a silly idea that the whole thing is constructed. Sex is natural, sex is attractive. When you look at a silly flower, you become aware of the flower. In fact, he calls the parliament as a prostitute.
Welcome to the Creativity Dialogues podcast with Chandana Dixit. Today, let's explore the world of theatre, but with a twist. With the twist of activism. Our guest today is an activist at heart who uses theatre as a means to express himself. Let's delve into what makes Prasanna tick, his approaches of how he expresses himself. Welcome, Prasanna. So, Prasanna, how does a person leave the highly coveted IIT and get into theatre? How was this transition possible for you?
Well, I was young, and young people drop out. In fact, young people are dropping out more often now than when I was young. You get dissatisfied with what the parents offer you, and then you get dissatisfied with what the society offers you. You want to explore something new.
Get into IIT by itself is such a privilege.
Yes, I mean, I had gotten to IIT for my PhD program in chemistry, and it was a very, very good chemistry department. It was the best at that time. Uh, I mean, in the world, in a sense, CNRA was there, many others were there. But actually, I felt I couldn't really be a good scientist. I mean, I was intelligent enough. I got the thing and all that, but
Was this a realization once you got there?
no, it's a lifestyle realization. Let me put it that way.
Mm.
The lifestyle of a scientist, I thought at that time, because that's how it was in Kanpur IIT, was too formal and too, it suggests that you concentrate on what you're doing for 6 years or 7 years. But much later, I realized when I read about Feynman and others who happily were dancing around and fooling around and making plays and making performances and also being good scientists. But anyway, in Kanpur IIT, I felt I couldn't really be a good scientist and I thought I could be a better artist.
But was there a conflict? From childhood, did you feel that you enjoyed both of these streams, or
No,
was it a later realization?
no, from childhood, I had one problem. I have very nice parents, extremely nice, very kind parents who were from very poor background, but they took care of us very well. But somehow I wanted to get out. It was a strange feeling. Even in let's say a bus ride from one village to the other village, I would refuse to sit with my parents. I would always quickly go away and sit in a seat which was independent. So I don't know why, but I had that streak.
And so it wasn't really a thing. Artistry wasn't really something you were looking at until you got into IIT.
No, I in my college there was a very good team of. It was the most important college in Bangalore, Central College, which produced Rajgopalachari. It produced Radhakrishnan. I mean, it produced a host of great personalities. In that college, there was a lot of theatre happening. There were a couple of very good playwrights available there. So I had done some theatre, but not really much. I mean, I belong to a very, very low middle class background where, except for the fact that my mother sang a little and my sister later became a fairly good singer. But no, I don't have art in my family.
The kind of commitment you have shown since to it, would you say that you're a product of nature or of nurture? As in, that was this art leanings something evident from before, or did it sort of just come in enough for you to take such a big decision?
I believe that every human being is made through the process of living. The process of living itself is the most fascinating part of living. And the process takes you into all sorts of situations. Sometimes we collapse, but often we, come out
Was there
different.
support or conflict when you took such a big decision
Oh,
from
there was a
home
lot of
or from?
tension in the family because I told you, I'm not from a very comfortably off family. And I had done my master's, and I could have very easily at that time got into a lecturer's post and later become a professor or something. No, they were uncomfortable, but gradually they
But you
realized.
never doubted your decision when you took it.
At that age, there's no question of doubting. You're really trying to look around and make yourself. Uh, Actually, I believe the older generation undermine this very serious concern in every young person. I really don't know how to handle it if you ask me. But I do know now that every young person, sometime or the other, is desperately trying to find a new ground, trying to break away from the usual path.
Yeah, though this was a pretty major transition because it was a change of fields completely. Would you say that today, looking back, that do you feel that in the art, somewhere some science has come into?
A lot of sciences come into my arts. A lot of my background has, I believe, provided a solid base for my
Mm.
later work. But at that time, I just wanted to get out. And for a long time, I really thought I had forgotten science. I have actually. For example, if you want to ask me about the various chemical elements, I can't even remember one except maybe oxygen or something. You see, but the essence remains with you.
Yeah.
The what you call the scientific attitude
Mm.
that remains with you.
And what would you say about influences? Were there any major influences, inspirations when you sort of transition from one field to the other? Uh, One generally has someone that they're looking up to, or something to sort of guide the way, show the way.
Well, the biggest influence was the times I was living in. I got into the National School of Drama when the country was getting into a turmoil. When I got out of the National School of Drama, already the emergency was on. Indira Gandhi had clamped the emergency, and by then I had become quite radical. And so when I went back to Karnataka after finishing it, I just plunged into a very, very red rag situation. I became a Marxist and started doing theater in a protest way, and also became quite active politically and all that.
So, do you feel the activist was somewhere a little controlled before, or did an
No,
activism come thanks to the arts, would
no,
you say?
no, this is a whole process, when you're trying to look around, young people don't look around comfortably.
Mm.
They look around uncomfortably. They want to dare. They want to.
When you say comfortably, um, do you mean that they already have their own judgments, that they are
No,
not
no, no. When I
really
say
looking?
comfortably, I mean young people don't always take decisions. They let themselves go.
Mm,
They they're even willing to hurt themselves a little.
yeah.
That's what I meant. And
Would you say this is more an issue today in the
it's
world of
always the issue. It's
distraction, or
always the
has it
issue.
always
No,
been?
no, it's always been the issue. In fact, today the amount of dropping out that is happening even in a country like India is phenomenal. And incidentally, all those people who are dropping out, most of them are coming into theater now, as opposed to during the freedom movement. A lot of them went and became freedom fighters. They became activists of the Congress or whatever, the
Yeah.
anti-colonial struggle. And later, during the 70s, they became activists of the Naxal movement. But today, it's amazing. Every young person, at least one from every family in India, is wanting to become an actor. And these are from such varied backgrounds. I've seen scores of Dalit boys and, small town girls, and then on the other side, extremely rich kids from IITs and software and engineering and medical dropping out and just coming into Bombay or to Chennai.
What do you think the draw is? Is it fame? Is that one of the main things, or is it exposure?
No, I mean, if you see it's not it's not fame, but of course it is there that they have to also they want to get into cinema.
Mm,
But I would like to compare it with hippies. What was the draw for the hippie? Of course, all the hippies became very comfortably of
mm,
bureaucrats or whatever later.
yeah,
But the hippie, when he or she became a hippie, they were just wanting to become a hippie. And some of them, you see, unfortunately, we don't know the whole history of what happened to the young people during that times, the
mm,
60s and 70s.
mm,
A lot of them were actually very serious. A lot of hippies, for example, reached Japan and started, training themselves up with the Fukuoka, the first natural farmer of the world. You know, and so it's uh, young people are an enigma. I think we should respect the enigma
would you say that
because
they
we have
should?
become
Uh,
too predictable.
mm,
You see, the middle class, especially, is so predictable that I think the young just doesn't like it that they get into such a predictable situation. Everything is given, and the more they refuse, the mom starts feeding more, and the pop starts giving more pocket money or something.
yeah.
They don't like
That's
it.
one thing I feel, that today parenting has become a little bit of overparenting. As in, would you agree with that?
Oh, not just overbearing. It's become disgustingly overbearing.
Yeah,
Just take the thing of motherhood. You see, mm, animals have motherhood. Animals, recognize their kids even later,
yeah,
but they don't mother like the human mothers do.
yeah,
And we seem to be celebrating it.
yeah.
No, it should not be
It
celebrated.
should not. In fact, this was a realization that I had, that, in fact, the kids that weren't overparented or overlooked after, those are the kids that are thriving because they have learned how to manage for themselves, navigate life, take their own decisions, have their own opinions, have a voice. And the ones which are too dependent for parental or societal approval, they are the ones who are struggling because they just don't have that inner confidence or voice to have the faith in their own decisions.
I believe European parents consciously developed a different attitude and they're far more successful.
Mm.
I actually know of a few of them who have done that, who have managed. And actually, I know of a few young people who just came to India and started staying with us in Charaka, this handloom cooperative. And I used to ask them, what made you come? They said, no, we just wanted to take we wanted to drop out for a year from my college or a school, and I just felt like it. And my parents said, go, you know. So, but in India, I think it's a terrible situation. We are so overbearing and protective, and we are destroying the kids by doing that.
Why do you think parents are doing that?
I don't know. We haven't come out of our past really. The feudal thing of Khandan. You
Mm.
see this thing of the Khandan, my family.
But I feel the earlier generations weren't as pampered, or, like they weren't over instructed. Do this, don't do this, be scared of this, or definitely go in for this. I feel the earlier generations were a little more, I mean, they were definitely opinionated, but they weren't that over watchful. The way today, it's for every small thing that parents' interference is quite.
For me, Charlie Chaplin is a thing for many many reasons.
Mm,
You know, for example, when you compare the childhood of Chaplin with the childhood of a even ordinary middle class young, it is so different. Of course, in a sense, it is so pathetic, but in another sense, it was so completely free for Chaplin. He realized when he was hardly 4 years or 6 years, 5 years maybe, that he had to take care not only of himself but of his mother. And then he had to find his ways in that little ghetto of theirs and learn things and match things. And I'm envious of Chaplin. But the thing about Chaplin is, of course, that he actually made it.
and he constructed himself, is what you're saying.
Absolutely,
So how do
absolutely.
people kind of what holds people back from being able to construct themselves? Do you think they want everything ready made, they want easy solutions, or that they don't go to take responsibility to
Well,
enable themselves?
I mean, one thing I wondered about this question, and in fact, in Chaplin, I found the answer. Uh, you see, Chaplin does not look at the world intellectually, not in the beginning at least. He looks at the world sensibly, meaning sense driven. There is one incident I had read in one of his biographies that apparently all those kids were doing music hall performances, and he had imitated a particular trick done by another music hall senior of his, and that senior actually takes him to the court, or at least he sends him a lawyer notice or something. The point is, you see, those kids were trying to catch the new technique, the new skill,
Mm.
the new way of doing comedy. They were not trying to become Shakespeare or some philosopher or something.
Actually,
See,
this
this is
is, yeah.
something very very amazing because all through his life, the way he gets into something is so simple, and then it becomes blooms into an amazingly rich and complex work of art.
You know, what you're saying just makes me realize that most people want to catch something which is ready made, which even in their influences, they won't catch something like you said now in real time, something which is from real, actual influences.
Yes, but the Chaplin thing is even more radical than that. Like, for example, that film Circus.
Mm.
You see, he was coming back from somewhere to somewhere, and on the flight, there is this fellow sitting next to him, and it's a long flight. And Chaplin starts talking to him and asks him, "What are you?" And he says, "I'm a circus artist." And suddenly Chaplin is interested and he asks about it. And in the next 10 minutes, Chaplin is asking him, "Will you come and teach me?" The fellow says, "Why not? If I get some money, why not?" And that's how starts this collaboration between the circus artist and Chaplin, in which Chaplin masters actually the tightrope walk and many, many tricks. And while doing that, he says, "Why don't I make a film on this?" And while doing that film, he realizes that it has to have a story, an attractive story. So it is that which leads to that amazing film, which which eventually is also deeply philosophical, deeply questioning, and all that. You see, the problem with us is we start from the philosophical end. We
Mm.
start from the theoretical end, and we never reach to the technique and skill and competence and all that. Chaplin always starts from the skill end. Chaplin always starts from the pragmatic end. Chaplin always starts like a silly idiot.
But how
That's how
difficult
he's
is
not
that?
silly idiot.
Yeah.
You see, I think we should all learn from him. Gandhiji did that. Gandhiji never tried to solve philosophical issues. In fact, his most famous answer when somebody says, "What do I do when something is very confusing?" He says, without thinking, he says, "Look, think whether the solution that you're thinking of can help the last person in this country, the poorest of the poor. If it doesn't hurt that fellow, if it helps that fellow, go ahead and do it." So you see, all questions have to be tackled at the level of sense and not at the level of the brain.
A lot of people who have the habit of intellectualizing a lot, they would you call that a problem of overthinking? They want things all perfect and sorted before they begin everything. And they don't want to keep place for that spontaneity of really, is it so hard, I would say, to deal with the discomfort of not knowing and still beginning an exploration, because that's the only way you can actually go that deep and that sort of fresh, that you're just seeing things as they develop. Most people want to feel, I can't start till I have everything figured out, till it feels safe for me, that okay, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to uh, badmouth the individuals of today because we are all caught up in a system. And again, I'm reminded of another character from a play. We are all like Hamlet. You see, Hamlet is a part of the times. Hamlet was not Hamlet because he wanted to be a Hamlet.
Mm.
Hamlet became a Hamlet because he was actually in a tremendously transitional time. And that's how he could never make up his mind. He went on thinking, thinking, and thinking, to be or not to be.
To be
That's the
or
big
not to
question.
be, that's the big.
That's the big question. That's not a big question. If the same question was put to Tolstoy, he would have said, "What nonsense! You depend on your character and go ahead and do what you want to do." If they had asked the same question to Gandhiji, they would have said, "This is not to belittle Hamlet. I admire the play Hamlet because it is so extraordinary that even today, that's the metaphor that fits all of us. What you just defined as the great intellectual types who want every question to be resolved before they take their next step,
Yeah.
rubbish. But that's the tragedy of us. We just go on thinking and thinking and thinking.
Why do you think we crave security so much?
Well, let me not answer the question, but let me give you one more example. In that mm, beautiful play of Chekhov, Three Sisters, he brings out three women, young women. Only one of them is married. One of them, the eldest woman, has become a teacher and not married. The second one is married, and the third one is the pretty thing and loved by everybody, hugged by everybody, and pampered by everybody. And this girl can't get up early in the morning, like all girls of the,
Okay.
and she's lying in bed and thinking as to how beautiful today it is, how beautiful it would be if I just walk across and go into the park, or how beautiful it will be if I go and start working with people. I mean, she does every thinking, every good thing that can be done. She's a good girl, a very good girl, but she can only think. So it's a serious problem.
What do you think makes a good actor?
You've asked a very big question. Theoretically speaking, we say a good actor is a good actor when that actor motivates every little action that he or she does. When you motivate it, uh, motivation is a very complex thing. I'll not explain it here. Then it looks convincing. If you don't motivate it, it looks like mechanical acting, bad acting.
Today, we find a lot of young people who want to get into acting, be it films, theater. They um, they end up going to schools to train themselves. Do you think, for one, that training is necessary for somebody who wants to get into the field?
Training is very, very necessary. In fact, it is much more necessary than what today's youth think of. But the training which is necessary is not happening. The training that is happening is the opposite of what is necessary for them to become good actors. They are mostly trained randomly, and even in that random training, there's a lot of intellectual input, theoretical input,
Mhm.
names dropping, theories being mouthed and all that. But actually, poor actor is like Zakir Hussain, the mridangam player, or like you, the classical singer, or like anybody. They have to be told that, look, you better learn your basics. You don't know what is a tal, and you want to become a Zakir Hussain simply because you can do this with your hair. No. So, styling of you is not acting in you. Acting in you is exactly like what any other art form is. That is lacking. In India, of course, it wasn't lacking, at least when the National School of Drama was conceived. The task of giving the syllabus was given to Mr. Alkazi, the first director of the National School of Drama. And he did a wonderful job. There was such a strong emphasis on fundamentals. It was a 3-year course. The first year, you don't even enter on the stage to do roles. You're basically doing fundamental trainings like speech, yoga, diction, movement, carpentry, all sorts.
Carpentry.
Yes, because you have to become a set designer, you have to become a costume designer. I was trained to do fabric printing. And then slowly from there, you go to what we call improvisations. And from improvisations, you go to what we call scene work, which is really a small 5-minute scene or 10-minute scene. There is a very big difference between improvisation and scene work. Improvisation is just let yourself go and and let the body behave, let the voice behave. Scene work is more organized, more structured, and then comes your final year production, which is a small production. So actually, it has to go like that. Today, what has happened is all these schools which are supposed to be drama schools are actually, they know that they are training for cinema, and they talk a lot about how to handle camera, how to handle this, which is okay, but there is no actor training. I'm sorry, very little at least.
Actually, the main thing I was wondering is that when courses are made, they're pretty much generic, in which instructions are given, or rather, I should say, a way of doing things is laid out. But how does an actor find their own unique voice, or how do they find their own way of projecting, of presenting?
Again, you see, what is unique about your performance? It is you who is unique. If somebody else does that performance, that same character, it is that somebody else who is unique.
Mhm.
Let's first realize that the actor is unique.
Mhm.
And let's first realize that the actor has a personality. The actor has a certain uh, background, a social background. The actor could be a black, the actor could be a Indian, the actor could be a Chinese, and then they have all that cultural backlog, the
Mm.
memories and all that. That is what I say actually comes in conflict with the character. When you're doing a character,
Mm.
it is not a honky dory between you and the character.
Mhm.
You're not just going to remove your shirt and say, okay, give me that new shirt, which is the new character. I'll wear it and go on stage. No. You actually, during that 3 months of rehearsals, ideally it should be 3 months, it is not. During the 3 months, you are negotiating with the character.
Mhm.
Okay, you want me to be this, but I am this. So, what is the negotiating point between you and me?
Mhm.
And that is motivation to find the right negotiating point between Hamlet and me, or Tughlaq and me. That's the negotiating.
You think that
And
it's a
this
different?
happens in every little move. You see, actor's role is constructed brick by brick, not constructed uh, the whole. It's a silly idea that the whole thing is constructed. It is actually constructed brick by brick, and in each construction of each brick, you negotiate, you confront, and that's how you're.
So, would you say that it's actually about using the person uses themselves, their own intellect, their perceptions, while adopting or taking on another character? So, if five people were playing that particular role, there would be a variety in each one's interpretation of how that
Ye-
character would
Yes,
be.
yes, but I won't put it so strongly, because the moment you put it so strongly, then it becomes yourself as the character. No, as I said, it's a very, very beautiful middle path.
Hmm.
You give in and you not give in.
Hmm.
There's certain things you give in, and in fact, when I talk to actors, I tell them that, look, give in only that you can give, you know, because a lot of actors have this tension. Sir, I'm a 20-year-old girl and I have to do this role of a 80-year-old woman.
Yeah.
What do I do? I said, don't. But that 80-year-old woman has some aspects that you like, so that you give.
Mm.
And what you can't give, you just put a makeup, put a little, gray in your hair or something. And so actually, the point I want to make is acting or any art is a negotiation between the artist and the art form, the story and the character.
Yeah.
You know,
So I think what you're saying is the main thing is to capture the spirit of the person of the character.
yes, yes, but in all those words that are using, there is always a problem that how do you capture the essence of it?
Yeah.
I'm saying start from the beginning. In the beginning, you only know the story. Hamlet is a story.
Mm,
King Lear is a story. Andhayug is a story.
mm.
So just, okay, I just know the story and I know the character, I start like that. And then the negotiation takes you beyond the minimalist story. It takes you to certain hurdles. So like that you go. When you say it like, the essence and all that, you already get stuck in the mind. You get stuck in the brain,
Mm.
and you go into the library desperately, you go into some book
Yeah.
desperately, you go and ask some great critic, how do I handle this? No, that
So it's a sense of just actually surrendering and involving yourself and allowing that character to sort of just start making its presence felt.
yeah, yeah.
That's allowing it to
that's
emerge in a
that's
sense.
why I gave the example of Chaplin.
Mhm.
For Chaplin, the whole process started with meeting a circus artist on some plane, going from somewhere to somewhere. Or, for example, when he saw this amazing kid with his parents, he immediately saw that there is an amazing kid and he wouldn't let go. So Chaplin's first interest was in that particular kid, not in making a film on kid. He didn't even know whether he was making a film on kid. The idea of the film came through the kid. It was the kid which fascinated Chaplin, and then the kid, he cultivated him and he cultivated the parents. He finally made them to give. So actually the story evolves from within that situation. This is how art is made.
So, when you were just saying this now, I realized that most of us don't really engage with life in the right way. We don't really allow our spontaneity, our curiosity to actually allow something else to, maybe something worthwhile will come, maybe it won't, but we are just not allowing, like you uh, have been talking about Chaplin. What actually allowed many of the other things to come was his allowing his curiosity to lead him. But uh, I think today we just want all the answers right away. Is this going to be of use to me? Then I'll do it. But the spontaneous enabling of things, why do you feel we don't just allow that lightness in which we just do things without expectations, but we just engage?
No, I'm once again trying to pull you back into something very fundamental. I'm saying most people commit the mistake of trying to imagine the product and then coming into the process,
Hmm.
the final product.
Yeah.
I have to do Hamlet. How do I do it? I want to do a film on the kid. How do I do it? Etc. Etc. No, the most great actors, they are aware. You correctly said, you have to live the life,
Yeah.
but live the life with awareness, in the sense that when I'm living my life, I suddenly, a kid comes across. There are thousands of kids come across, but this particular kid is just fascinating. He attracts me so much. And that's how it works. And there, your awareness, what is that awareness? The awareness of a skilled artist.
Mm.
Oh, I like this kid because the clever fellow is he knows how to smile, how to. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Uh-huh.
Start from the process. Don't start from the product.
Yeah. But that was my thing, that I think most people aren't able to identify that what kinds of things could be useful to them, or just they don't give things a chance. Because even if we say start with the process, I think that they don't know what to look for or what one would call as the process. There's a lot of, unless it's clearly laid out for them, but life is never that simple. So things
Yeah.
will not be laid out obviously.
You see, you can only be aware of the process. I mean, let me again give you an example. I believe Raj Kapoor went to his father
Mm.
and said, will you take me to do a role? Prithviraj Kapoor said, no, I won't give you a role. You're not even ready. So he said, what do I have to do to ready? Go and work as the light boy, go and work as something else, and go work as something else. So actually, Prithviraj Kapoor, most people think, was trying to prepare the child as a socialist,
Mhm.
which may also be true.
Mm.
But what Prithviraj Kapoor was trying to do was to make Raj Kapoor process driven. A little, you pull up your pants in Avara,
Mhm.
it makes a whole lot of change in you.
Yeah.
If you're aware, you know, I believe the Devanand was walking somewhere in some Scandinavian country, and in some shop he got this topi, this funny hat, and he suddenly realized that, oh my God, this hat is very attractive, and he started playing with it and playing with it, and then he used this hat for the next 100 films of his.
A very interesting word you use now is awareness. And I think that that is something which, would you say that some people just have that awareness or attention.
Everybody can have.
Everybody can have.
Everybody can have that, but unfortunately, we think that awareness is also a product given to you, packaged and all that by Buddha, or awareness is that which is given to you by Shri 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 somebody or PPP somebody. No, what Buddha was trying to say is when you look at a silly flower, you become aware of the flower.
Mm.
Do you know that beautiful story? No?
That you love between love and
No, no, no. No, you see, Buddha used to have these 4 month, what is it called? Chaturmas,
uh-huh.
where they will all, during rainy season, they couldn't walk around, they couldn't preach. So they would get all of them to one place and they would be dedicated there and discussing. And each day, Buddha would be addressing them. And that was a very special thing. So one day, all the monks were assembled and waiting for him to come. And Buddha came, and just when he was entering the hall, a little girl, very silly, beautiful girl, offers him, the lotus flower. He takes it from her, smiles, and he goes onto the stage, doesn't speak, he just holds the flower. Everybody is baffled because they are all expecting him to say something.
Mm.
But he's not saying something, but showing something which is so beautiful, which is a complete statement in itself. So, after a couple of minutes of complete confusion, Sariputta, one of his very senior disciples, who was sitting at the back, smiled. And then everybody realized what Buddha was saying to say. This is awareness. You see something on the way. Why can't you become aware of what that thing is? You see a broom, you should become aware of the fact that broom is something which you use for cleaning up, and broom is used only by women and rarely by men. Men hardly knows how to sweep, etc., etc. You become aware.
Mm.
You see, it is the material that leads you to transcendental experience.
Mm.
It is not the other way around. It is not the transcendental experience that leads you to material. That's a bullshit understanding.
Mm.
It's the material world. It is the silly world that is lying around. It's lying around and craving that you see it and touch it and feel it. Don't do that.
So what
Especially actors, if they do that, you are a bad actor. We send actors to the Kabadi Bazaar. We send them to Jama Masjid. We send them to the Heart. और कहते हैं कि जाओ देख के आ जाओ. But if they don't know how to see, awareness has to be there.
Mm.
That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
So we seek it from within. That actually allows us to even just start an inherent understanding of what you're seeking for.
Yes, but avoid using those big words. Seeking,
Yeah.
inner thing. What is inner? I don't know what is inner. A jhadu is a jhadu. Jhadu is not, there is nothing inner about jhadu.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm actually, you're saying the correct things.
Yeah.
I'm only trying to
Break it down so that
down
people
to-
understand.
These words have
Yeah,
become
yeah.
dangerously
Yeah.
mundane. Seeking from within,
Yeah.
awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness is such a beautiful word.
Yeah.
You know what I do? Please stretch your hands.
Like.
Stretch your hands.
Mhm.
Now, this is awareness. I have touched you. You know that I have touched you. I know that I have touched you. Not only that, you know in what way I have touched you.
Mm.
You know whether I am a rascal or a nice person. Have I touched with affection?
Mm.
I mean, a touch can tell you 1,000,000 things.
Absolutely.
We touch people, we don't even feel anything.
Yeah.
So that is awareness.
Yeah.
It's not the great, nebulous awareness that we all are seeking for.
So beautiful.
There is no nebulous awareness, for heaven's sake.
Yes. Yes. And this is so true. I mean, just now with just the touch, I feel that we realize only if it's to two extremes. One, if it's very troublesome, or if it's just not there. But all the in between layers that you were trying to mention, I feel that it's awareness that allows you to be able to just grasp
I mean,
that.
it is so amazing. I can go endlessly on this. I've seen, mothers are so busy with their work and all that, but the child has to have the feel of the mother.
Mm.
So, what the mother does is she's put him to sleep next to her, and the child has put a little silly hand on the mother's thigh or some part. It is just touching. That's enough for it.
Yeah.
Now, it is such a profound touch. The touch of the child with the mother is such a profound touch. She is able to do 100 things. She's negotiating rent with somebody, and she's fighting with the husband. She's doing something else. But all the while, she's not transmitting that to the child.
Yeah.
So this is awareness.
Yeah. And the
I mean,
child still feels safe and secure, although she might be in conflict.
and for an actor to bring that awareness. Now now we are come to art.
Mm.
This awareness is a natural awareness. But as an artist, you touch somebody. Did you feel the touch? What did you feel? What did that other actress feel?
Mm.
If she felt that this fellow is a rascal,
Mm.
then it's gone.
It's gone. So, Prasanna, when we talk about creativity, what do you make of the word? Because I've observed that people, everybody interprets this word in their own way. So, how would you interpret creativity?
See, creativity is a very loaded word, and it can't mean the same thing in every period. It is so loaded that many aspects of it come out and change shape and all that. So if you want to understand creativity, you have to understand it as to what does it mean today.
Mm.
And let's face it, today, the postmodern today is disgustingly creative. Everything is creative. Paper napkin is creative, the soap box is creative, every house is creative, everything is perfect, everything is beautifully man made, machine made. So, for an artist, I don't think the artist ever had such a huge crisis in one life in the entire history of humankind. You see, initially the artist was blissfully imitating God, meaning nature.
Mm.
And so he realized, or she realized, that they can't imitate God unless they develop the skill to do it. Even if you want to just write a silly flower, you have to have the skill to write the flower. So actually, they developed a lot of skill and went on imitating God's own creativity, and they were appreciated. It goes on till the time of Rembrandt in Europe. I'm just taking
Yeah,
the
yeah.
example of Europe.
My favorite painter is Rembrandt
Yes,
because of his use of warm tones,
exactly.
and he would just zero in. Also, actually, with Rembrandt, because you brought up my favorite painter, he had the courage to paint old people
Yeah, yeah. Not
a
only old
lot,
people.
which
You
was
see, he was so meticulous that he would collect, costumes,
yeah.
costumes from all over the world and
Mm.
keep it, and so he did all that. And then came the machine. Immediately around that time came the machine, and machine started imitating more easily than you. You could just put a camera and take the whole image.
Yeah.
So from then on, artists realized that I can't just be imitating the nature, because machine is doing that much more efficiently than me. So if I have to be creatively imitating uh, nature, the God's own creation, I have to do something more than just imitating. So that's how an entire generation of new art.
Actually, what you're saying, I realize that it's the difference between with painters, that those who paint very realistic paintings, they, after photography came into use, there didn't remain a need for that sort of painting,
They,
because it would just mean copying identically,
They
trying
lost
to
their game.
match
They lost their
everything.
game.
Yeah. And so we don't give so much importance to the painter who can just copy that accurately. We are looking for the painter who can find what to maintain in the image, what to haze out a bit,
Yeah.
what story is coming out of that image.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole journey where artists realize that I have to not get at the imitation, but I have to get at the essence. And then the actor said, "What about the essence of the medium?"
Yeah.
So he or she said, "No, I have to get the essence of the medium also."
Mm,
Picasso, for example, when he did that, those sculptures of sheep,
mm,
he actually made three sculptures. The first one was a realistic imitation of it. The second one was an impression of it. The third one also brought in the material, which was steel.
mm.
A sheep is made of flesh and blood,
Yeah.
whereas his sculpture is made of steel.
Yeah.
So he brought the steel quality, the quality of the sheep, the quality of everything.
Yeah.
And so finally, it did not look, the third sheep, especially of Picasso, does not look like just a sheep. It looks much more than a sheep. Now, that is Picasso. Picasso is already 120 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Now we have artificial intelligence. You know, you just at the push of a button, you draw a silly thing, and the button can make it a Rembrandt imitation.
How do you think in our current times of AI technology, how does the artist, how will he be able to maintain his own kind of search and stay and not really go? Because I feel that AI has the
Not
ability to
many are
take
doing
us.
that.
Yeah.
Not many are doing that. Most people have succumbed. You know, it's a tragedy. And those few who have not succumbed are, see, there was this German theater director. He was talking in one of those seminars, and he made this famous statement: "I have nothing else left but to hit the bottle," he said, because it's a very serious crisis an artist is
Yeah.
facing. Like I don't want to do art. If I want to do art, I want to go back to nature and understand the natural processes all over again, and then try and express it, not paint it nor draw it in my thing. That's why these days I'm very deeply interested in what I call the Indian method in acting. The Indian method in acting says an actor doesn't feel, an actor doesn't do it from within. An actor is just an actor. They talk of abhinaya. Abhinaya
Mm.
is, the actor.
Uh,
So it is very highly skill based, and I enjoy it. And that is what Chaplin did. That is what Molière, the French dramatist and actor, did. That is what the whole Italian comedy tradition, farce tradition did. And that's what our own Indian tradition did. That's what our own folk artists did. That's what, for example, Habib Tanvir's production of Charan Das Chor became famous for. In fact, Charan Das Chor became famous internationally. You know, people suddenly realize, oh, there is a new way of looking at it.
so actually, I was wondering that because you brought it into Abhinaya acting, I had a question that Natya Shastra, being one of the biggest kind of epics written, um, how relevant do you think that today's actor can benefit from reading Natya Shastra and trying to interpret it?
It's a very, again, difficult question to answer, because Natya Shastra, like any classical text, has become completely vulgarized by people who want to look at it as a glorified dead thing. Most pundits want to do that as a glorified dead thing. You can't touch it. You have to take it uh, entirely.
Mm,
It's a package. They say Natya Shastra is a package. While every artist looks for one's tradition from within oneself. And there, Natya Shastra, can it give some indicators? Actually, Natya Shastra does.
Mm.
Natya Shastra, what is the essential Natya Shastra? The essential, I mean, forget about all the other things. The essential Natya Shastra is saying that, look, the taste of the performance is felt by the audience, not by you.
So I think I'll just
That is
explain
the
what
Rasa
Natya
theory.
Shastra is. Yeah, before you get to Rasa, that Natya Shastra is one of the most ancient treatises written on the first. Actually, they called
No,
it the
no, no,
fifth
no, no,
Ved,
no. Don't
right?
say one of the most, because then again it will get
It
confusion.
is.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah. No,
is.
no, I
Yeah.
just will explain it. There were two dramaturgies written in the world. One is from the Greek classical tradition, and another from the Indian classical tradition. These are the only two classical theatre traditions
Mm,
that you have in the entire world. And Greek dramaturgy produced Greek theatre,
mm,
or Greek theatre produced Greek
mm, mm,
dramaturgy,
mm,
and Indian dramaturgy, which came a little later,
mm,
incidentally,
mm,
though they didn't they have completely different way of looking at things. Indian dramaturgy talks in a different way.
mm.
If we have to understand the whole question of East versus West, or Oriental versus the Occidental and all that, you have to look at these two. It's uh, it's an amazing thing to compare uh, Greek Natya Shastra
To the Indian.
with the Indian dramaturgy.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so, I believe it's so thorough that Kishori Amonkar, the very great classical vocalist of India, she said that she spent a very significant amount of time in just studying the Natya Shastra. And although that's more for Abhinaya or acting, but she derived a lot. I mean, she says that it transformed her thinking in interpreting her music. So I think that really for the performing arts, it offers value, from what I understood you're saying, to the one who doesn't take anything merely at face value but is willing to interpret.
I just want to add one thing to what you said, and that is that people don't realize that the first treatise on creativity happens as dramaturgy.
Mm,
Even in the Indian dramaturgy, Natya Shastra happens first, poetics happens later. Natya Shastra happens first, musicology happens later. Natya Shastra happens first, and dance theory happens later. In fact, let me make it bold to say that Natya Shastra is the basis from which all these various
streams.
theories of music, theories of dance, theories of language, even
Mm,
poetics, even happens. You see, I mean, I have to say this because people think of drama and theater as inferior to poetry, inferior to literature, inferior to even music, inferior to even dance. I'm
really?
talking of popular perception.
Really?
Yes, of course.
Why do you think that? That
People
why do
don't.
they?
You think your mother would have allowed you to go into theater? Why? Why did your mother not allow you to go into theater? Because the poor woman was scared
Mm,
that her daughter would not be all right.
not be
Now,
safe.
this is a misinformation. Of course, there are rascals in theater.
Mm,
I don't deny that. And today, there are more rascals than
mm.
anywhere. The point is, let me tell you, if it is a good theater group, a girl will feel safer than she feels safer in a temple. Because here, in a good theater group, the group has to negotiate with the girl. Meaning, if somebody misbehaves with that girl will not come tomorrow. So actually, theater, a good theater group, a good performance is a very good space for girls, for Dalits, for anybody. It's a sad thing that instead of sending them to theater, instead of creating situations where children's theater, for example, happens in every village in this country, we are sending all these young people to Bombay,
Yeah,
and we are happy about it. I mean, you are sending them to a place where you don't know whether, half of them are getting alcoholic.
yeah,
Girls are getting into situations, you read it every.
yeah.
You are allowing to do that because you think they'll become famous and you don't want them to do theater. Shame on us.
I think they don't understand that that it's actually about something else. It's about finding your craft, your what you're capable of, and not just heading to Bombay as if that's going to solve all the problems, and just lay it out. I think there's a feeling that if we just arrive in Bombay, it will, it'll all happen. What do you suggest to people who come from all over the country? What How do they find their way of training themselves?
No, the parents who are trying to force them to come back should instead do something socially to make it attractive for young people to come back. What will they do when they go back?
Yeah.
What will they do when they go to UP or to MP or to Punjab? There is very little theatre happening there. You know, theatre in education is not happening in India. We say that we are the most developing country in the world. Rubbish. Theatre in education should have started in India 50 years back, 100 years back.
Do you think people aren't going because the remuneration, the fame isn't to the degree of film? Is that the reason why they're skipping theater?
Look, these are two different issues. Both are serious crises. The intrusion of machine into our lives is a serious issue.
Mm,
It cannot be fought easily. So even when we fight on the issue of creating theaters in local situations and in schools and all that, even then a whole lot of them will go and die in the flames of Bombay.
mhm.
They are like insects who
The
fly towards light.
Yeah.
They think it is light, but it is actually fire. That will happen because, see, that's why Gandhiji pointed out at the fundamental flaw. The fundamental flaw is automation. But we don't want to accept that automation is a fundamental flaw because it has made our lives easy, because it has made our life comfortable. Who says that comfortable and easy life is a good life? Only we are saying that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ did not say it. Sri Ramachandra did not say it. Prophet Muhammad did not say it. Nobody said it. We and our chief ministers and prime ministers and our bureaucrats are saying that. Rubbish.
I think that people don't want to feel uncomfortable. I've observed that it's not just hard work. They'll continue just doing something, just keeping on, repeating, doing something. But the discomfort involved with uncertain circumstances or doing something without being assured of an outcome. I think that that kind of discomfort is what
They
people don't want to experience.
absolutely, absolutely. They don't want any type of discomfort. Not only that, we are all still foot soldiers for automation. I mean, let me make it very clear. Why are we, for example, for a violent society suddenly?
Mm.
Why are we, for example, suddenly are not liking Gandhiji? There was never in the history of India that there is such a strong sentiment against Gandhiji because we all want to be competitive. Now, what is competition? You know, why are we, setting up Godse temples, for example? Because we somewhere deep within feel that if need be, we should kill. If need be, we should kill. Whether it is Jesus Christ or Mahatma Gandhi or Buddha or whatever, we have to kill. See, that's our mindset today. With that mindset,
But whenever we say today, if I ever discuss in such terms with my son, he always gets back and says that, Mom, violence is an inherent quality in humans. And
absolutely,
people have always had it. So he always says that don't say that, like in today's times. He says violence is a part of humanity.
Absolutely.
And
Congratulate him, because violence is natural, non-violence is unnatural. Violence is natural, love for the others is unnatural. Civilization is unnatural. Civilization is not natural. Civilization has to be cultivated the hard way, and it has to be cultivated not once, but every minute. Your son is right, but we have not told our sons that, son, it is your right, it is natural, but can you let it loose the way you want to? Sex is natural, sex is attractive, it's very good. I would say that sex is very good. But can I let it loose like that on the streets, in the bars, in the offices, in the boardrooms? So we have not been doing that. We are allowing our stars and superstars and super politicians to be, natural. When they are natural, why can't the ordinary citizen be natural?
mm,
You see, it is natural to hoard. You allow animals could not hoard because they didn't have the hands. And so this animal, we are an animal, let's face it.
mhm,
The human being is also an animal. We are also natural. So for me, it is natural to hoard, it is natural to prevent others from getting at my property. All this is natural. Violence is natural, war is natural, non violence is unnatural. Jesus Christ is very, very unnatural. Mahatma Gandhi is very, very unnatural. Sri Ramachandra is the most unnatural being. That's why I love him. Because the fellow had the courage to say that the slightest, some drunken fellow says something, he will take it seriously, because he says, I'm the king. I have to take it seriously. That is civilization. Civilization can only be built the Sri Ramachandra way, not the way we are trying to do now. You can't build temples of Ramachandra and bring civilization. No, you have to live like Sri Ramachandra, like Sita, like Hanuman. No, Hanuman, for example, is a monkey. But is he just a monkey? He's not. In fact, he is more civilized than Rama. Rama himself says that. The first meeting that happens between Rama and Hanuman, Rama is stunned by the amazing beauty of his words. He tells Lakshmana, my God, here is a man I want to befriend. Do you know why Valmiki had to introduce a monkey in Ramayana? I mean, I'm using the word monkey to signify certain thing, not to insult. You see, Valmiki does not just introduce a monkey, but introduces in the monkey an amazingly civilized human being, an amazingly controlled human being. Hanuman had a complete control over his words, his actions, and as also his sexuality, if you want to call it that.
mm,
This is something very important. When Ram meets him for the first time in Kishkinda, the moment he hears Hanuman, he turns to his brother and says, oh my God, this man is so civilized. I want to trust him. I want to befriend him, he says. So actually, what I'm trying to arrive at is, in Hanuman, there is the true metaphor for civilization. What Ramayana is saying is that all of us are essentially monkeys. The monkey in us is still there, and it is raring to go. The monkey is raring to go. And like Hanuman, who made a phenomenal effort and became a civilized human being in spite of his shape as a monkey, we should.
So we are all evolving and should strive for.
No, we are not evolving.
Should strive to evolve.
No. The whole point is we become human beings in the shape, in our dress, in our fashion, in our coats and pants and makeup and all that. But We don't want to become like Hanuman. In fact, the tragedy is these days we have distorted his face. Haven't you seen all those auto rickshaws and this thing where he's shown as an ugly figure, an angry figure? Hanuman cannot be that. There's no question. Hanuman was an amazingly civilized human being, and we should all be like Hanuman in the sense that Hanuman could also punish, but that's the last thing he does. He first negotiates. In fact, Sugriva sends him to see who are these people. They may be Vali's representatives. I don't know. Please go and see. And he cleverly negotiates with Rama and Lakshmana and then finds their thing and then brings him to Sugriva, sees that the relationship happens and then goes to Sita, to Lanka to find Sita. He is an extraordinary diplomat. He's an extraordinary civilized human being. And we, instead of becoming Hanuman the civilized, we are becoming Hanuman the monkey. You see, the civilization today is not a civilization. This amount of luxury, this amount of waste, this amount of, every advertisement is saying, go eat, go drink, unlimited drinking,
Go shop.
unlimited, go shopping, go this. And you use devil's images. That what is that? Men's say. You actually use this thing of devil.
Yeah.
Television set, you remember, the devil was used.
Yeah.
They're right. At least they're honest. This is devil. We are pushing devil and pulling Hanuman out. So it's a very, very dangerous situation. We are not a civilized society. I'm sorry. Period. We are not a civilized society. We are the most uncivilized society ever in the history of humankind.
Why do you think? Is it because of
It
technology?
is because of automation. You see, automation is very good for me, the human being. But what about the other? You can push a button and destroy a whole country today. With just one JCB, you can destroy the whole Western Ghats today. I'm not talking of Indian JCB. I know of those huge, monstrous machines which can simply, eat up entire hills. And we are enjoying it. We are celebrating it. All because it is comfortable for me. All because it makes my life easy. Who said that easy life is a civilized life?
It is a good life, for that matter.
Easy life is not a good. Easy life is a rotten life. It makes your mind into into a shit pot. So I don't know. I mean, we are not a civilized society.
Actually, struggle is what keeps us on our toes and
Absolutely.
keeps us growing. But there's such a reluctance to deal with struggle.
I mean, can you imagine? Every mother, every father wants to make so much of property for the son and the daughter.
Yeah, that they don't
That
have.
finally, they are killing the son and the daughter even before they have started living.
This has been my observation, that all those who got things ready made, they just didn't have the joy of discovering themselves, of earning their own first things, because there was no need for it. It was already, everything was just there, and they missed out on just finding their own growth, their own becoming something. There is no joy of becoming. It's like that egg which never hatches, because it doesn't want to go through the struggle of breaking its shell. And
Amongst actors, there's this wonderful thing. Every actor comes to me and says, "Sir, how do I get out of the earlier role? It's hanging on my head. It's inside me. I became a popular Tughlaq, for example, and now I can't make any other character." I tell them, you start all over again. Start the process of fighting with the other character afresh. It's the same on stage, it's the same in society. What you are doing is, somebody is born as let's say, the daughter of a chief minister. She's already a chief minister. Somebody is born as the son or the daughter of a superstar. That son or a daughter is already a superstar. What nonsense! How can it be?
Mm,
I'm not saying that sometimes some talented fellow is born, but the talented fellow, if that talented fellow is born in a family of a superstar, the superstar should say, like Prithviraj Kapoor said to Raj Kapoor, no, go and slog. Of course, because you are in my family from childhood 2 years, you have learned acting and all that, but go and slog.
mm,
Who is doing that today?
mhm. Just now we were discussing about Ram, Hanuman, and it just made me realize how strong a role mythology plays. If you could elaborate on the role between mythology and be it in acting or in the power of storytelling, how does mythology really aid us or perhaps enlighten us in a certain way?
Firstly, mythology is not history. These days, we have started treating mythology as if it is history, as if it is real, as if it actually really happened, as if, for example, the aeroplane that we talk about in mythology actually happened as an aeroplane, etc., etc. No, mythology is not history.
Mm,
Then what is mythology? Mythology is memory. People's memory of good things becomes a metaphor of a good thing, and the metaphor of a good thing finally becomes a myth. So the memory becomes a metaphor, and a metaphor becomes a myth. A memory of a bad thing also becomes a bad memory and a bad character in the mythological thing. It's as simple as that. You see, our memory is a phenomenally amazing thing. Our memory has a great capacity to remove irrelevant things.
mm,
You know, today every irrelevant thing is there in your mind. Tomorrow, about 50% of has dropped out.
mm,
The third day, another 50% has dropped out. And finally, after a couple of years or so, you only remember the essence.
mm,
That is that has become a metaphor. It has become a little larger than life.
mm.
It has become a little expanded, fine, because it's a metaphor. And that larger than life becomes even more larger than life, and it becomes mythology.
Yeah. When you just mentioned now, I realized that when I was younger, I used to always wonder that is this how exactly things would have happened? Is this really what it was? If it was so many thousands of years back, how do we know? Was this how it happened? And so, like you just explained now, that through generations, we really do keep on drawing on what's relevant. And so it's not important whether all the facts happened exactly as they're stated, but what has really lasted was the essence or whatever really was the real point to be made. And perhaps generation after generation, we keep interpreting it in ways that make sense in today's times. And maybe that's why till today we keep on telling these stories again and again, again and again, and we still have an audience for them because they have been worked in our times in which they make sense.
Yeah, that's true. And in fact, to understand this thing of mythology being a metaphor and mythology being a part of our memory, one should also understand what happened to humanity after the introduction of automation.
Mm,
You know, many people have used different words to define that. Karl Marx talked of alienation, and later philosophers and all that. A word called amnesia, loss of memory.
mm,
See, one of the uh, one of the terrible things that happened after automation, after we became faster and faster in our lifestyle, a certain amount of amnesia has gripped us. That is why we have started thinking of every mythology as history,
mm,
because we don't remember things. We don't know the context in which it was said. So, this civilizational amnesia is a terrible thing. We are like, uh, those neuro illnesses. Old people suffer. We have become like that. We have no memories.
Mm.
You know, we don't even have memories of our father, the mother, and all that, because the mother is hardly there, the father is hardly there. I was born in Calcutta, and then went to Bombay for my early studies, and then to New York, and then to London. I partly was there in a Christian school, and then I was there in a Buddhist monastery, and today I am CEO in some. So what memory can you collect?
And
What
this
past
is
do you have?
actually, as you were speaking, it's not just about that, but our minute to minute distractions through all the media that comes to us. I think that is another thing, that we don't want to hold on to anything. The minute something triggers us or stirs us a little bit, I realized this from my daughter, who told me that, there was some conflict going on and she was upset about something, and so, in a short while, she was fine again. And I said, "How come you were just upset like half an hour back?" She said, "No, I just went to my phone. I opened it. And it's okay. It's not a big deal. It's fine." This actually got me thinking that when I was young, I didn't have anything else to distract me. I was forced to confront whatever was disturbing me and come to some conclusion about it, that either about how I should act, or even just stay with it, that I really don't have clarity on this and I need to, and it would keep coming until eventually some clarity came on the topic. But today, uh, we instantly we just distract ourselves, and so it just gets forgotten. Whatever was really meant for our growth, for our evolving, that never happened because we just got distracted into with technology, with social media, and it never really registered. I feel that that's why today people aren't able to find their voices, because they're not able to stay with whatever matters to them.
No, you raised a very important issue. Many people criticize me when I talk like this, that you are too anti-modern. You are too pessimistic about today. I say, no, I am not. I am not even anti-modern. I completely welcome the liberation of the mind that happened through modernism, through automation,
Mm,
and then through modernism. But what happened was, while it liberated the mind, it frees the body.
mm,
You know, we needed to use the less and less of our body, less and less of our strengths and our own skills. So our skills got destroyed, our this thing got destroyed,
mm,
and that is what is terrible.
mm.
So if we are talking about the great freedom that like today's young, they are much more confident than us.
Yeah.
They're much more faster in taking decisions. It's a wonderful thing. But unfortunately, that little advantage is offset by this huge disadvantage,
Yeah.
that they don't know how to even wash their own little cloth. They don't know how to make a cup of tea. A
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
things. You see, so, um, but this is all up to modernism. You come to postmodernism, it's terrible. Even those few things of freedom are now no more free. It has become free for all. You see, in modernism, at least, there was a true sense of freedom. But in postmodernism, it is free for all. Post truth. You don't even have to be truthful. You do what you want to do, what the market says. You
One of my observations was, when we are talking about technology, AI, it provides a huge opportunity, in a sense, that somebody who really wants to learn, it's like a time like never before. I remember in my childhood, if I wanted to learn songs, there was no YouTube that I could just press a button and just hear. There were no karaoke tracks that you could just practice on. For my tanpura, I had to go and actually buy a tanpura. There was no electronic tanpura that I could press a button, it would come. The biggest value I realized is that my tanpura, I had to learn how to string it. I had to keep on turning the knobs, the tension, and I had to ear train to find the most accurate sa in order to tune it. So I feel sometimes with the advantages of technology, we are missing out on the other strengths that we actually could have created if we didn't succumb completely to it. Or even cassettes. It was a force. I had to be very deliberate with which songs I wanted to pick to learn because I had to take an empty cassette, go and get them recorded. Then those tapes would break. I had to again go. I feel sometimes there is a different kind of connection that you make with these things as opposed to when you just click on something and instantly anything comes up. There's that
Absolutely.
quality
There
which
is a
is missing.
devaluation of everything today,
Mm,
including money. And then, of course, all good things are devalued. God, you know, what is the big thing about going to Vaishno Devi, for example? The most fascinating thing about going to Vaishno Devi is that you had to actually go, you had to actually climb, you had to actually take risks.
yeah,
Why is it that God always hides behind a river or inside a forest or on top of the Himalaya? Why do they have to do that? Because they wanted the follower to take the difficult path to reach there. Today, we have made ropeways, we have made,
yeah.
aircrafts, and we have made five-star hotels, which also serves you liquor,
And
serves
if
you
you
everything.
pay some money, you don't have to stand in a line.
You don't
You
have.
just instantly go and
So, which is fine, which is
yeah,
very convenient, which is increasing tourism. But is it increasing faith?
yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Mm. So when we think of this, I think that we should start thinking of solutions too, because I think we all understand that we definitely have a huge situation. I won't call it a problem because actually we created this, all of this to make our life easier, to actually benefit us. The problem is we are not using it, it is using us. We are losing our power over ourselves because we have given all the power to technology and to all of this. So I think that what could be uh, uh, the best way to use technology to not need to put it away because it was constructed to aid us. So how do we use it but not completely succumb to it and use it for just the purpose it was actually created?
Well, theoretically, it is fine. Theoretically, it's even possible. But when you look at it practically, I don't know. Because even when it wasn't there, even when we started with just our hands, the havocs we created, the moral disasters we made were phenomenal. The wars that we waged, the rapes that we did, the destructions that we did. And then came automation, and then came better and better and better automation. You see, today, I mean, in this discussion, we've been discussing more about the moral aspect of or the creative aspect of automation, how it is creating problems there, which means we have to look at all aspects of automation and not just the moral aspect or the problem it has created to traditions, to memories, to to cultures and all that. There are two serious problems it has created: loss of memory, loss of culture, loss of tradition. But the other serious problem it created was of creating waste,
Mm,
the unusable waste or unreusable waste.
mm,
You see, nature, the most amazing thing in nature is that there is nothing that you call waste in nature. Everything gets recycled. That's the most beautiful thing about nature. You know, every animal becomes a food for some other animal, and every tree becomes or the fertilizer for another thing. So it's a cyclic process. There is no waste. And in civilization, we first created waste when we started using our hands by, for example, extracting metals and using them and then living wherever it was made and all that. But that's minimal, very, very small. And then came fire. By burning fire, we started creating certain waste. Even that was very, very minimal. But what happened when actually automation came is a phenomenal production of waste. Today, almost everything that we think is useful is 100% wasteful also. So we just don't know how to handle it. And scientists have already declared that this waste, especially the waste in the air and the waste that is created through temperature increase, is going to kill us. Stephen Hawking very categorically says that this human civilization is not going to survive. So, purely as a scientific thing, I don't think we'll survive. And many people tell me, why are you saying such bad things? I tell them that, look, I am also a scientist. And if somebody understands that one is a critical cancer patient, what do you say? Do you say that, no, you just have a headache? After all, that person and that family has to handle an illness for what it is worth. The big problem is that ordinary human being does not understand she is going through a critical illness of the nature of a critical stage of cancer. Humanity today has already gone into a critical stage of cancer-like situation. And as a result, what we are doing is, even governments know this, but they're scared to anger people.
Mm.
How will a politician say that from tomorrow you are not going to use two cars? Tomorrow I am not going to allow you to use three-lane this thing. From tomorrow, every human being will have to walk at least 5 kilometers a day, because that sort of a legislation is needed today. A legislation which says that from tomorrow, agricultural production is going to be at least 80% handmade, only 20% automation, that too what we specify should be used. From tomorrow, we are not going to have paper that is made out of synthetic material, plastic that is made out of synthetic material, machines that are made out of synthetic material. Can a government do that? Will they get away with it? Will the electorate vote them? Let me tell you, everybody, including you and me, want an airport right next to my little village. Want a 6-lane concrete road next to my village. Every one of us want electricity. We want unlimited supply of water, unlimited supply of everything, unlimited supply of packed food. So it is a critical situation of ignorance. We're not even aware. Let me also tell you, if at all there is one solution, that is Gandhi. Now, why? Why is Gandhi a solution? Because Gandhi, for example, when he was fighting this, he was called to fight a battle for freedom, which was a purely political battle. But he said, look, first of all, battling for freedom from British will not do, because tomorrow when we occupy their seat, are we able to run this government? He said, I'm not so sure. And secondly, okay, we don't do that. When you have millions and millions of ignorant people, what is the guarantee that these few people will not become rascals? So he said, I will have to do a struggle which is both political and constructive action. Constructive action meaning making people aware through various constructive programs and all that. And as a result, and also he ruthlessly criticized automation. The three things that he criticized so much was, one was the lawyers, another was the doctors, the third was the railways, and the fourth was the parliament. In fact, he calls the parliament as a prostitute. And then somebody becomes so irritated, he explains it. The point I'm trying to make is Gandhiji did this because Gandhiji understood both the spiritual crisis and the material crisis. And he also understood that this combination of a spiritual and material crisis can only be handled under the leadership of the poor people.
How did you get so connected to the Gandhian philosophy? How did that connection happen?
It happened in a strange way. About 38 years back, I quit the big city. I went back from Delhi to a small village called Heggodu. Initially, I just went because I was tired of doing theater in big cities where it didn't matter at all. And I thought I'll go to Heggodu and do something. I didn't know what, but I just wanted to get out. But once I went there, I realized I had to do something that would connect me to the village. I can't just be going into a village and doing theater all the time. In villages, people don't do theater all the 365 days. So, um, after about a year of experiencing the village, I realized I should do something with handlooms because there is a crisis in the village with deforestation. And this deforestation was happening because of demographic pressure and not so much because of expansion of industry or roads or something. So I started that. And then the resistance started, social resistance, because the landlords felt that they would not get these girls as uh, inexpensive labor
Mhm.
to peel their supari, for example, the areca nut. And when it happened initially, I used to get angry and behave exactly like I behaved in the cities, protest and do revolution and all that. And then slowly I realized that in village you can't really do a revolution. Because if you slap somebody or if you spit on somebody or if you say a bad thing to somebody, the next day you have to actually meet that person. You can't, because you are in the same village. A village is a small unit. It's not like Bombay where you can fight with somebody and still get away with it because you will never meet that person if you don't want to meet that person. Here, whether I want to meet or not want to meet, I have to meet those people. And I have to break their resistance without their breaking my will to do the thing. That's when I realized negotiation was necessary. That's when I realized I had to change my ways of doing things. And that's when I finally reached to satyagraha, the non-violent protest for the protection of truth. So it's like that it happened. Of course, I've always admired Gandhiji. I had read a lot of Gandhiji, but I had also read Marx. I had also read a lot of playwrights, philosophers. But it is the village that actually made me become a Gandhian of sorts. Even now, I don't think I'm really a formal Gandhian because I still believe that even this thing of simplicity, even this thing of sustainability, even some of these values, I imbibed it in theater. No question about it. You see, you can't do theater like you do a film production. There is no producer who invests 5 crores or 500 crores to make a play. You'll have to do it with very small amount of money. You have to do it with people who you know, whether it's a girl or a boy or a Dalit or a Brahmin. You have to negotiate with them. You have to have the discipline. I mean, theater is something amazing. In theater, if you don't recycle the costume, in theater, if you don't forget about costumes, if you don't recycle words, there is no theater. So recycling is fundamental to theater. Recycling is fundamental to the actor. It's the same actor who gets into new roles, into new situations. The actor keeps growing through those many roles one plays. This is sustainability.
It's so surprising, you're talking about all the interconnectedness of things, that how one thing actually shows you the way to something else and allows so many new things to emerge.
Yes, yes, everything is interconnected. Everything is interconnected.
Everything is interconnected.
This this notion of alienation is such a powerful notion. Alienation, when you understand it at a very, very superficial level, it only means alienation of one person from the other person, alienation of a person from one's language. But it keeps growing: alienation of one person from one's entire culture, alienation of one person from an entire nation or a village. Alienation is what is happening to us. We are slowly getting detached,
Yeah.
de-alienated,
Yeah.
de-aligned with our own, self. So when one talks of tradition, one is not talking of something outside of you. One is talking of something which is inside you.
Mm.
For heaven's sake,
Mm.
half of us is still natural.
Mm.
It has to respond naturally. And what is nature? Nature is imitative. Nature is cultural. Nature can only, I can't become, suddenly I am born out of two human beings.
Mm.
Can I be a rat? I can't be a rat. Metaphorically, I can be a rat, but I can't be physically a rat.
Yeah.
So this thing of getting alienated is really like two people marry and produce a rat. you know
Yeah. Yeah. So when we talk about creativity, a very significant word that comes is truth. Can you share your perceptions?
Creativity, as on today, is the most dangerous thing, because we have become excessively creative. Not, when I say we, I don't mean human beings. It has gone much beyond the human being. Creativity has gone beyond the control of human hands. It has become machine made. The most beautiful painting of Picasso can actually be produced by artificial intelligence. And the most I believe today, an actor need not act. An actor has to go and sit in a studio and give their profiles, four or five different profiles, and an entire film will be made,
Yeah.
which looks exactly
Same
like
with
an Amitabh
singers.
Bachchan. Yeah, yes.
In
Same
all,
with singers, same with
yeah,
everybody.
with all
So creativity
departments.
is in a serious crisis. Now, if we want to get out of this crisis, first of all, we should understand what is creativity. You see, creativity was created in order to make this very, very fundamental difference between truth and reality. Because all of us are surrounded by reality. And because we are so surrounded by reality, we cannot see something beyond these realities, which is necessary if you want to become aware. You know, in Sanskrit there is this lovely word called Kupa Manduk. We become like frogs in the well. A frog in the well can only understand what is there inside the well at the best. It can't understand that an entire life exists beyond the well.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
so the problem: how do you overcome reality? That's when human beings, amazingly, they started this game. The first ever game started by human beings when they were just about to become human was theater, what we call the primordial theater. Now, what is a primordial theater? In the primordial theater, they reconstruct the reality as a theatrical action, and through that try to understand what is the connection between the great God or the great truth and them. So, theater people know that the base is a lie. A theater person is never allowed to go and act in his own or her own house. A theater person, when they perform somebody else's lines. They wear somebody else's costume. They they pretend that they are somebody else. So actually, on the first day of the rehearsal, It's a bloody lie. You're not able to perform. And then trying to make that lie work, you start going beyond you. The game insists that you go beyond you, don't become stuck inside you.
Mm.
You are the reality. And when you go beyond you, you start realizing truth. And that truth, there are only two truths. One is good truth and another is bad truth. If you really pursue the beyond you, well, you become a good character. On stage, off stage. In life, in on stage. In both, it is the same process. If, for example, you are suddenly made the prime minister of this country, today you're an idiot. You're not a prime minister. Somebody has made you a prime minister. Somebody has given you the role. Somebody has given you probably the costume also and the baton also, but you're not the prime minister. How do you become the prime minister? From now on, every little move of yours, you try to get into the character of the prime minister. So those persons who manages to get into the character of the prime minister actually becomes a good prime minister.
Mm.
And those persons who can't get into the character of the prime minister and just goes on imitating some prime minister or some photo shoot or some other thing becomes a bad prime minister, like a bad actor. So for me, theater is very, very important, because what we learn in theater should be applied in society. I mean, let me tell you, everybody plays roles. We forget that. You, for example, how many roles do you play?
Mhm.
You are a mother, you are a wife, you are a singer, you are a painter, you are a traveler, you are handling all these people. You are handling about 8 roles. Can you handle all those 8 roles without preparation?
Mm.
So, you see, for me, theater is very important, extremely important. The way I can, and the difference between a good actor and bad actor, only the really good ones will know.
Mm.
Because bad actor also performs. Many bad prime ministers, bad chief ministers, and bad industrialists, but through advertisement, they become successful.
Mm.
But those who are inside know, no, this man was a good prime minister. This woman was a good chief minister. This woman was a good judge, but not the other one. So for me, truth of the matter is in character. Truth of the matter is the character, and character can't be built through photo shoot, for heaven's sake.
Mm.
It can't be just staged.
Can't be
It
fake.
cannot be staged.
Yeah.
Cannot be faked. And unfortunately, because we are trying to make various moral structures to decide whether one is a good person or a bad person, we are failing.
Mm.
I think you should just let the people decide, is he a good actor or a bad actor?
Mhm.
This man has come in suddenly as a saint. There are lots of 21st century popular saints. They put their names as Sri, 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 and etc., etc., and they have these huge temples and lots of aircrafts and all that. Well, the people should actually, with awareness, see whether this man is doing first and then saying. Most of them say beautiful things.
Mm.
They're not doing it. So he's a bad actor. What is a bad actor? He uses all the good dialogues, but internally, he's just bluffing you because he's not even having the motivation. An unmotivated bad actor is the equivalent of an unmotivated bad saint or a bad prime minister or a bad judge or a bad policeman. The motivation is so important.
Mm.
And every minute you have to be motivated. Every minute you have to check whether you are doing what you're saying first and then say.
Mm.
Don't, like an idiot, go and say on the podium, 26th January, I say something and then try to do it and I can't do it because there are 1,000, pulls and pressures. No.
What role does nature play in our ability to create?
That's a very loaded question. Um, Let me answer it indirectly. What role did Sita play in the life of Rama? I'm I'm putting it this way because
There would be no Ramayana.
yeah. You see, between the two, they represented a loving combination of the most loving uh, civilized man and the most loving and natural woman. Sita is this is a metaphor for
The
nature,
earth. And
and Ram is a metaphor for a civilized being. You know, when we say civilized being, it can mean man, but it need not mean man. Any civilized being. And Sita, when we say a woman is natural, woman is natural because she is the one who procreates, who gives birth to the thing. But beyond that, it is not necessary that only woman is natural. But anyway, as a metaphor, these two are a combination. And as long as they're in loving proximity with each other and helping each other and also the world to grow, the world will survive. But today, uh, even metaphorically, we have almost forgotten Sita. Even in India, for example, today we talk more of a lonely Ram standing all in isolation of everything else, including Lakshmana, Hanuman, and Sita. Millions and millions of posters and this and that. But beyond that, um, in our lives, nature, what is nature today? It's at the best a beautified nature that you see in Discovery Channel, or it's a beautified nature that you see here, for example, these lovely plastic uh, things. So, see, nature is not just beauty, nature is natural. In nature, also there is violence, in nature, there's love, there is affection, everything is there. So, the true nature, I think, especially artists and writers, should try and understand the true nature before they even want to depict it in their works.
if you could elaborate on when we talk of nature, how does the common man interpret his connection to nature beyond, say, taking a walk in nature or going to some hill station? I think the common man may not know the context in which you're.
You see, in order to do that, one has to first understand the difference between nature and us, or the difference between Rama and Sita. Uh, Nature imitates. In fact, the only thing nature knows is to imitate. A cat mother gives birth to a kitten, and the kitten grows into a cat by imitating the cat mother. A seed imitates the tree from which it has fallen and produces another tree which looks exactly like that tree. For example, a mango tree cannot produce a tamarind fruit.
Mm.
A mango tree can only produce a mango fruit. This is very, very typical of this. This does not mean that nature does not change. It changes imperceptibly over, let's say, a million years or something. You gradually lose your tail, and something like a whale, which was walking around on the earth, started swimming and lost its legs and picked up various other things. It happens imperceptibly. And that process of imperceptible change is called evolution. While human beings are revolutionary, they change and want to change drastically.
Mm.
Especially when you look at Western civilization, and for example, the sort of drastic changes that has happened there, even with something like French Revolution, for example. The old was completely butchered. and the new was brought in. Take, for example, the English society during Shakespeare, for example. Suddenly the queen or the king, I can't remember who, decides that England from now on is going to be a Protestant country. And a law was promulgated, and every house was hounded out with its icons, with its old mothers who are still Catholic, and all that. Terrible, terrible violence happened. This is not to say, this is not to blame the West. We have also done that. But I'm taking the example of West because West became revolutionary more systematically, more aggressively than us. So the revolutionary in us wants drastic change, whereas the natural in us resists drastic changes. And the natural in us holds on to the culture, to the food habit, to the mother tongue and this tongue and that memory and all that. Whereas the revolutionary in us is wanting to break out and go into America, go into Switzerland and go into something else, become completely different and all. So this is a tense situation in us. Every human being is actually managing this tense relationship between the Rama inside me and the Sita inside. And let me tell you something very, very crucial. Every Rama hurts every Sita. Meaning, every civilized person has to hurt to some extent the natural person in you, because that's how we are made. But if that hurting of the Sita goes beyond a point, then you're an inhuman person. Valmiki Ramayana is so amazing that even a man who is the Maryada Purushottama, the subliminally great man, also hurts Sita sometimes. But then he's civilized in the sense that he repents for it and he cries for it and he tries to, change himself and etc. etc. So Valmiki Ramayana says that if a man does it or if a civilization does it, you accept it. Forgive that civilization. But today, what has happened is civilizations don't even know whether they're hurting nature or whether they're bulldozing the nature, whether they are scraping the bloody nature out of the face of the earth. We don't know. We're just doing it because it's all comfortable for me. It's all easy for me. So, it's a terrible thing. And then because we know this, we feel guilty. And because of this guilt, that we produce this millions and millions of footage of undersea thing, and we create all sorts of fancy this thing in some fancy Himalaya tourist homes. And so going to nature or taking pictures of nature or taking your stupid selfie with nature is not becoming natural. That is, in fact, like somebody weeping for the dead. And unfortunately, here you are the one who has killed the dead and you are weeping for the dead. We are, that's why I use the word, the metaphor of Hamlet. We are the ones who are killing the dead and we are the ones who are weeping for the dead.
Mm.
It's a bloody hypocrisy. Of course, it is not a personal hypocrisy. We don't even know. We are not aware. Personally, we are all good people. Personally, most people are decent people. But we don't know that we are doing the most indecent thing ever. For example, don't we know that we are treating the poor people, forget about nature, take the human being. Don't we know that we are ill-treating and badly treating the poor person? We know that. That's why we give those guarantees, freebies, because we are feeling guilty, but we can't change it. So this is the great to be or not to be syndrome that civilization is going through. That's why I see very, very little hope of the civilization surviving. We are doomed to perish, and it is God who's going to punish us. And why? Is God not kind? God is kind. But for heaven's sake, God has to be kind to every being, not selectively be kind. God cannot be selectively be kind. God has to be kind to every human being or the other being or the natural being equally. God has no eyes. Like the judge,
Mhm.
the God of judgment. And that God who has no selection is angry with us. And so whether you look at it secularly, like Stephen Hawking, the scientist, or you look at it spiritually, like Gandhiji, we are doomed to death as a civilization. I'm saying this such a horrible thing only because at least now let the people realize, at least now let them genuinely repent and change their ways. Maybe something will happen. Say, maybe a magic can happen because God is kind. But God cannot be kind with our, tricks. Okay, I will from now on introduce electrical vehicles all over and thereby bring the. What nonsense are we talking? You introduce electrical vehicles, the consumption of electrical vehicles will become 10,000 times more.
Mm.
It will destroy your earth even more. I am not saying anything that the scientists have not already said. Scientists have already said that all this bullshit that is being every 4 years done internationally, it is not working out. Nothing is working out. Global warming is a fact and it has already started increasing exponentially.
It has. We all experience it
Yeah, yeah.
with the weather changes, and
Yes.
it's not a question that is it.
But
It's
I am a happy person because I want to even now seriously try. That's why I'm going to Bombay. I want to try with those actors who are stuck in Bombay. And if I can convince even a small portion of them to go back to their land and start working with children there in those schools and make those children a little more natural, maybe a revolution will happen.
how do you bring about the right mindset for a young mind that is so burdened with all of these influences and so many different conflicting messages that, except just trying to find their way, there isn't really a path in which they can have
No,
some
they are willing to.
direction.
No, they are willing to. The young are willing to. They have already proved it. That Swedish girl who led a struggle, that
Yes,
school girl,
yes,
you know,
Greta. She's one,
Greta
and
Thunberg,
and that's amazing that she
you
did
know,
that.
and Indian girls and boys are willing to do that. I don't think we are allowing them to.
Mm.
I think we should just let them go and
So
say,
personally,
do
you
what
feel
you feel like doing.
it's the
We should
older
also tell them.
generation, the
Yeah, yeah.
parent generation, that needs to sort of rethink.
The parent generation should go and confess, not in the church, but in front of each one of their children and say, sorry, we have committed a blunder for which we are going to be punished. If anybody can save us, it is you, because it is your life. Please go ahead and do what you want to do. I don't even want to tell you, advise you, because I've lost the capacity to advise. I am a sinner. Every old person should say that I am a bloody sinner. You, the young person, maybe because it is your life is in a bigger stake than my life. So become a Greta Thunberg. They will become. I know at least the young people in theater.
It's just about being true to your voice, whatever matters to you, to really to move forward with it,
Yeah.
to express it.
So actually, I want to end it up here uh, by saying that all these terrible things that I have voiced is to voice a beautiful truth that young people can save this world if they are given a completely free hand. The governments, the parents, the religious establishments. Incidentally, the religious establishments are as corrupt as uh, as secular establishments. They've also become money minded. They have also become power minded. They've all become political. They either belong to Congress or belong to BJP. You know, one is siding with the Muslim, the other one is siding with the Hindu. What is this nonsense? So I'm saying the young should be told the seriousness of the situation and should be given complete freedom. And maybe make them aware of Gandhi, make them aware of Buddha, make them aware of Basavanna or the Kabir. Let them handle it. Even then, if it doesn't happen, it's beyond us.
What is your favorite quote or mantra?
No quote, no man.
No quote, no mantra. I'm sure there's some Gandhian thing which has sort of ordained the journey of
Let
your
me.
life.
There's no quote, there's no mantra, but I'll tell you one beautiful incident in the life of Gandhiji. Gandhiji was very busy in India. He had already become, I think he was already 60 plus or something, or maybe 55 or something. He gets this letter from a lovely young lady from England, and she has heard about Gandhiji from this great French writer. He has said that Gandhiji is this is Gandhiji. She writes a letter to him. And first he says, look, be careful before you want to come to India. Think about it. And India is not easy, etc., etc. And then letters keep happening. And she comes and he says, I love you. And he writes, there are about 600 letters he has written. And this is the lady who becomes Meera Ben, the great Meera Ben, who remains unmarried and remains a great admirer of Gandhiji and all that. The way he shapes her is the way young people should be shaped. He is so, he cares for her in such details, whether she has taken this food or whether she has not done that or whether she has gone there. But nowhere does he saying this. No, but I feel this, when you go there, you can see that. Or when you, amazing, amazing way. And this is the way he trained thousands and thousands of people, and each one of them became great leaders.
I think that's an amazing note to conclude on. Uh, it's the importance of each individual really just fully and completely taking responsibility for their own life, their own vision, and whatever they wish to create, accomplish.
Incidentally, a lot of historians say that the 600 letters were actually love letters. They are.
Mm,
They are a love letter from Gandhiji to a very beautiful woman, but without sexuality. In every other sense, he's deeply in love with this girl because this girl is so innocent and so willing to change and so willing to take on hardship. Did you know that it was Meera Ben who goes first to Maharashtra, this Sevagram? She is the first to go into a village which was mosquito infested and which was this.
mm,
And then 1 year later, Gandhiji follows. So why not? And
yeah.
he
So
was in
it
love
is,
with this girl.
yeah. And it is about her commitment. And I think when there's a genuine commitment, the mentor, the guru, the whatever is needed comes your way to enable that to happen. Whoever that either individual or circumstances, in whatever it shows, way it shows up. I think it's about being determined for oneself that I take responsibility and I will and want to manifest whatever they wish to create.
When I was talking about those 600 letters Gandhiji wrote and how he shaped this amazing saint of a person, Meera Bahan. She actually became so good. It was she who went to Maharashtra first, to Sevagram first. It was she who lived for almost a year in that mosquito infested village all alone in a small hut that she herself had built. A year later, Gandhiji joins her. It is she who lived the way any of our, whether Vivekananda or whoever, she lived like that. And how many of them did Gandhiji produce? Not one. Hundreds and thousands of young people who came to him, he treated them with love, affection, kindness, and with all of them, he would write those love letters. When I say love letters, they are love letters to a daughter, to a this thing, to anybody. So that capacity was amazing in Gandhi.
Right. I think that's what people, once they've made the commitment um, to tap into that inner voice, to get ready to explore whatever they want, the mentors, whoever, whether it's circumstances, whatever is required for that thing to progress and manifest, it somehow just starts coming that person's way. So it's all about taking responsibility and creating. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for an amazing conversation and some amazing insights.